Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to be talking about periodic functions today. We're going to start off with a circle drawn on the coordinate system centered at the origin. And this is going to be a unit circle. A unit circle means the radius is equal to 1. The equation for a circle in general is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. But in our case, r is 1, so 1 squared is 1. So the formula for a unit circle is x squared plus y squared equals 1. Now we're going to draw an angle in here. We're going to call it angle T, little letter t. And our radius is 1. We know that the arc length is equal to the radius times theta, which is the central angle. So arc length is radius times theta. Our arc length here, if we substitute 1 for the radius and t for theta, we get our arc length is equal to t. So that the distance, the arc length of t, is the same as the central angle t. Angle t is equal to arc length t, and it is in radian measure. Let's talk about trig functions in terms of the unit circle. T is a real number, and the point P, which is x, y, is a point on the unit circle. Unit circle. Circle with radius 1. That's all we're going to be dealing with here. That corresponds to t. So that means a sine of t would be y, because it would be opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite side has a length of y, the hypotenuse is 1. So using a unit circle kind of makes that hypotenuse doesn't disappear, but because when we divide by 1, we don't write the 1 in the denominator. So the sine of t is y, cosine t of x is x, the tangent of t is y divided by x, but we have to put a caveat here because x cannot be equal to 0. The cosecant is a reciprocal of sine, so that would be 1 over y, but again, y cannot equal 0. The secant of t is 1 over x, and again, we have an x in the denominator, so x cannot be 0. The cotangent will be x over y, which is a reciprocal of tangent, and y cannot be equal to 0. So now you have, in terms of a unit circle, we've made our 6 trig functions even simpler. There's another name for periodic functions, and they are circular functions, and you can see that because we're going around in a circle. Okay, let's go back to our unit circle again. And we are going to make our angle wind up in the second quadrant. And the arc length of t is going to be the same as the central angle t. The definition, t is a real number equal to the length of an intercepted arc of an angle that measures t radians. I'm just repeating that from the last slide. The point P on the unit circle that corresponds to t, and in this case we're going to make it, P is going to be negative 1/2 and square root of 3 over 2. So we'll put that up there. That's point P. We want to find the values of the 6 trig functions given this information. Now let's kind of reiterate the information. P is minus 1/2 square root of 3 over 2, so that gives us our x and y values. And remember, the radius is 1. So the sine of t would be y, which is just square root of 3 over 2. The cosine of t is x, which is negative 1/2. The tangent of t is y over x, so if we substitute square root of 3 over 2 for y and negative 1/2 for x, we can strike out those two, the denominator of the numerator and the denominator of the denominator, because they cancel out. So we have negative square root of 3 for tangent t. Taking those 3 and finding the reciprocals, we will have the secant of t is 2 over the square root of 3, which is 2 square root 3 over 3. The cosecant would just be minus 2 as a reciprocal. And the cotangent is negative 1 over square root of 3, which is negative square root of 3 over 3. And there's those answers. Let's do some practice here. You do this one on your own. I'm going to give you a chance to pause the video until you get the answer. Let's put p at negative square root of 3 over 2, negative 1/2. So that's going to put it in the third quadrant, and it's on a unit circle. Find the 6 trig functions. So p is negative square root of 3 over 2, negative 1 over 2. So that gives us our x and y. And once again, r equals 1 because we're on the unit circle. So now I want you to pause this and do the work. Okay, let's see how you did. Sine of t is minus 1/2. Cosine t is negative 3 square root of 3 over 2. Tangent is square root of 3 over 3. Cosecant negative 2. Secant negative 2 square root of 3 over 3. And cotangent square root of 3 over 2. Check your work. By the way, did you know that, shocking, isn't it? See you next time.